Hello everyone. Uh, so I was talking about the version that we have inside for the Spring scanner. So let me explain you the errors that we will get while once you have the structure ready, once you have the Spring scanner ready, and what is the difference between the previous structure and this new structure. So as I said, uh, the scanner required this and these annotations. So previously we have had, uh, let me show you an example. We have had this structure. So we needed uh, component import. Let's say we need application properties. We'll talk about this, what this application properties is actually. Uh, so we needed component import uh, to uh, to make sure that we have our uh, dependencies inside our plugin. But now, what the scanner will provide you, it will give. So once you have that scanner jar inside your project, dependency defined in your pom.xml, then you need to use the annotations to get the dependencies. So let me show you. Let me walk you through the errors that you need to be aware of. So so the biggest error that you will get is package com.atlassian.spring.scanner.annotation.imports does not exist. And this comes because you need to use this to use add component import, add component. Right now we do not have any such thing that would require component, but to have this annotation, you need to have these classes, and this comes from the Spring Scanner. So, so you need to be aware of this error, and this error comes from this thing. So scope. So if you do not have the right scope, you will get that compile time error. But it won't stop your plugin uh, to get deployed on the Jira server. But it's really annoying when you are writing a code and you have this and you start seeing this error. So it really annoys you as a developer. So you do not need that. To avoid that problem, you'll have to use provided. And to make you understand what this is actually, let me take you to through a. This is Maven dependency, and to make sure that the dependencies are maintained by your code at the right time. So there are various options like compile, provided, runtime, test, system. So you'll have to go through each of these uh, terminologies to understand it well. So So earlier we had runtime, so that means the scope indicates that the dependency is not required for compilation, but is for execution. So we were getting the compile time error. So and the code was not able to identify that dependency. So it says that it is in the runtime on the test class path, but not at the compile class path. So that's why we change the scope from runtime to provided. So this is much like compile, but indicates you expect the JDK or the container to provide the dependency at the runtime. So now we have the dependency resolved. So, and we have our scanner plugin working well. So let's go back and see what this tutorial has to say more. So it talks about the changes required from Atlassian Spring Scanner 1.x to 2.0. So uh, so you can follow this tutorial to basically understand the Spring Scanner, and if you have to do the migration from 1.x to 2.0. So right now I have no plans to go ahead and use 2.0. Maybe in future I will show you the migration as well. But right now our plugin will be limited to using 1.x. And so in my previous tutorial talked about what do you have to uh, what you basically need if you are supporting previous version of plugins and you have no plans of using the Statlition Spring Scanner. So in that case, you'll have to use the previous version of Spring Scanner, previous version of Atlassian SDK to generate your Atlassian plugin.xml and pom.xml. So right now I can show you the SDK version that we are using for our plugin development is 6.2.6. So you may need to change this SDK version to previous version like 5.x or uh, 5.x dot something. So if you generate your plugin structure with those versions of SDK, you can go ahead and write your plugins without the need of Spring Scanner. So, but I would say that if you are writing plugins, if you're writing a new plugin for any of the Jira 6 or Jira 7, uh, go ahead with the Spring Scanner. Initially, it may be uh, time consuming or a bit difficult to understand uh, what you need to be done, what you need to do to support your plugin. Uh, and you may see a lot of errors, but eventually you'll understand the stuff because this is what the future is. So now let me go back and show you something. So I was talking about why a Spring Scanner is necessary. You can see that all the component import that you used to have earlier is not required. So the old mechanism was to use component import statements in Atlassian plugin.xml, but now just use annotations. So it could be simple when you understand the concept, and uh, and you don't have to mention every time in your Atlassian plugin.xml for the component and component import. Just use the annotations and you're done. So we'll see that in our next series of tutorial how we are actually going to write the code using this component import and develop our tutorial plugin using the new structure. So let's go back and see what we have right now inside our Jira system. Also, there are most of the Atlassian tutorials that you would be seeing are based on Eclipse, and there is a command that you may choose to run to set up your Eclipse dependency. That is, uh, let me show you Atlas v an Eclipse from your root folder, but uh, I prefer using IntelliJ, and this is the ultimate version. And so you can choose to get a personal license version as well. So yeah, so let me